This is Glenn Studebaker. I'm going to talk to you about the Arkansas IPM Implementation Program. This program is supported by the Crop Protection and Pest Management Program funded through the USDA and NIFA. When I talk about any of the IPM programs, I'd like to give a definition of what is IPM. It's integrated pest management. It includes multiple tactics, not just insects, but weeds and diseases as well, and how to manage them. So it involves the disciplines of entomology, weed science, and plant pathology. Along with integrated pest management, we have a lot of challenges. One of the big challenges is just that there are multiple sources of information out there for growers and consultants to get their information. Social media and the internet is a big one. X, Facebook, a lot of places they get their information for. Some of that information is good, some of it's not. They also get a lot of information from industry as well as academia, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes their sources of information are from another part of the country and may not necessarily apply to our local region. Another big challenge that we have in pest management is just convenience. Growers feel their time is very important, and sometimes integrating some management tactics can be inconvenient. They like to get things done quickly, so they have other things to do. Another big challenge is when commodity prices are high. A lot of times growers seem to be less interested in IPM when prices are high and they're getting a lot for their crop. Money's not so tight, so they're less apt to depend on IPM or rely on IPM practices. On the flip side of that, when commodity prices are down, a lot of times growers often start asking about how they can save money, and a lot of times they go right back to IPM and want to know when they can not have to spray or when they can stop spraying, or ask this: do I need to really spray? Is this pest causing me any problems? So commodity prices have a lot to do with what we deal with every year. And sometimes they ask that question: is IPM really what we need to achieve maximum yields? We get this from some growers and consultants that believe that IPM only gives us an average yield by relying on IPM, and I think this is the result of high yield challenge programs. We see a lot of these in some crops where growers have participated in a high yield contest, and they put a lot of money into that crop, and they do not rely on IPM, and this, I think, has brought about this idea that IPM only gives us an average yield, which is not necessarily true. As far as the Arkansas IPM implementation program goes, it's basically a coordinated approach, and in this particular program we have 5 areas of focus. A big part of it, a major portion of this, is our row crop IPM, which relies on we have a county mini grant program, and I'll go into detail on what that is. We also use this mini grant program to some extent in animal IPM, which is another focus area of our program. And we also have a specialty crop IPM, which to a lesser extent does have a few mini grant aspects in it as well. We also have IPM for pollinator health, and then our last focus area is support for our diagnostic lab, which we're used to diagnose plant diseases and plant problems. We do have a team approach with our Arkansas IPM program, and our team is composed of entomologists, plant pathologists, weed scientists, as well as some agronomists that have an overall picture of the commodity production. Our entomologists include myself as the coordinator. I'm also a row crop entomologist in the state. Our other 2 row crop entomologists are Nick Bateman and Ben Thrash. Kelly Lofton is our animal IPM person. He's located in the northwestern part of the state. Aaron Cato is in the horticulture department. He is trained as an entomologist, has a PhD in entomology, and focuses a lot on that, but he works in specialty crops. He's basically our IPM specialist in specialty crops or in horticulture. So he also deals with weeds and diseases in that particular area as well. And then John Zavishlak is our pollinator IPM. He is our honeybee instructor and also our urban entomologist, but he does a lot with our pollinators. In plant pathology, we have Travis Faskey in row crops as well as Terry Spurlock. They focus a lot on our on corn and soybeans, cotton, and peanuts. Travis does a lot with our peanuts and cotton, and Terry tends to focus more on soybeans and corn and grain sorghum. And Kamala Nicoli was hired last year, and she is our rice pathologist. And she works predominantly on rice, but also will work in soybeans and some of the other crops as well. And Sherry Smith runs our diagnostic lab, or did run our diagnostic lab. She has recently retired, so we are at this time interviewing and ready to interview to replace her. So we'll have somebody else there hopefully very soon. But the diagnostic lab is still running. We still have a program associate that has kept the lab running, and so we are still collecting samples and going through that. And weed science, our two row crop people, weed scientists are Tom Barber and Bob Scott. And then our agronomists are Jason Kelly, who works in feed grains, Jeremy Ross in soybeans, Jared Hartke in rice. And we recently hired Zachary Treadway, our cotton specialist, retired, and we've hired Zachary and expanded that position's responsibilities to include not just cotton, but also peanuts as well. And he has just started. All right, our Arkansas program, the mini grants program is really a highlight of our program. Really, we provide funding to county agents at the county level to focus on conducting programs with their clientele in their county through this mini grants program. We feel like this really allows the program to be tailored to the specific needs of those local clientele. Just like with any state, Arkansas's environment is different in different parts of the state, whether it be from east to west or from north to south. Problems that may be showing up in South Arkansas or Southeast Arkansas are different than those in Northeast Arkansas. So this really allows those county agents to tailor their IPM program. There's not a one-size-fits-all, basically. They can tailor their program to the needs of their local clientele. With this program, with this mini grants program, of course, they must have an IPM aspect or focus in their proposal when they submit it. There are, I think, a lot of benefits to this type of program. Like I said, it does allow the IPM programs to be delivered at the county level, and it does allow those agents to focus on the priority areas that are important to their clientele. We also are able to collect a lot of data from that I think is beneficial through surveys and monitoring and just the demonstrations that they apply or put out in their counties. One of the things I think it really does is it encourages those agents to get involved and get in the field and involved with their clientele. We have had a pretty good turnover in county agents over the last few years with retirements and with agents just moving on to, let's say, greener pastures. We've had a lot of new hires, a lot of young agents, and a lot of inexperienced agents. And I think through this program, it does encourage them to get some experience. It introduces not just our clientele to IPM practices, but it also introduces some of our newer agents to IPM practices and helps to train them as well as they are working with clientele. So that's a big benefit, I feel, to our program with those agents. It does help with their education as well. It also gives our agents some experience in writing grants. We've actually had several agents that have been very successful at this and do a pretty good job of writing their mini grants. And they have given them some confidence, and they have gone on to write grants for outside of this program and been successful in obtaining fundings from other programs such as SARE and some from NRCS and other places like that. So they have done well in getting some experience on doing that. As with any program, there are some drawbacks. It is time consuming, particularly for the coordinator. All of these proposals that the agents send in have to be reviewed, have to be looked over by the coordinator and by a committee. It's also, there's some accountability, holding the agents accountable for actually conducting the program. We have to get, and I also have to get reports and data back from the agents. Well, the easiest way to do this is we let them know that if they don't give a report at the end of the year, they don't expect to get funding next year. And we really haven't had a problem with not getting reports from agents. They actually do a pretty good job, even when they move on. They make sure they send in a report before they leave. So that's not been really a big drawback, but it is a potential drawback for the program. I feel like the benefits really outweigh the drawbacks as far as this program goes. As far as our row crops go, the major row crops we do have in Arkansas are cotton, soybeans, corn, grain sorghum, rice, and peanut are our major ones. The way this program works, the agents will write a proposal, an IPM proposal for one or more of the crops that they have in their county. Many of our counties have multiple crops. Some of them may have all of these in it, and they are able to, if they want to, put in multiple crops in their proposal. We just require one proposal, but they can put all of the crops that they deem important into their proposal. We do require that they include some type of demonstration, IPM demonstration. It's going to go out in the field, some kind of pest monitoring and outreach. And we require that they put together a budget because they're going to request money. We want to know where they need that money and where they're going to spend it. And as I said, the reports are due at the end of the year so that we have that information that's presented to us. Now, while we do allow them to tailor their proposals to their local clientele and what they need, we do give them some guidance. We have had, like I said, a lot of new agents over the last few years, and so we do give them kind of major areas that we want them to focus on, and we do have some requirements. If they're going to do any kind of IPM with entomology, if they have conventional corn in their county, we require that they have a southwestern corn borer trapping program in there where they're going to monitor at least several fields in the county for this particular pest. All of the row crop proposals have to have a bollworm trapping or budworm trapping in there as well for moth flights, because Arkansas is as unique in that in its location we have a lot of bollworms that fly in from Texas and Louisiana. So we have a pretty good bollworm population. We have some of the highest populations in some of our crops compared to some other areas. So this is a requirement. If they're in the southern part of the state, red-banded stink bug, south of I-40, I-40 kind of dissects the state in half. The southern half of the state is south of there. And red-banded stink bug is a tropical type pest, so a lot of times we don't see it as a problem in the northern counties. So if a northern county puts red-banded stink bug, we tell them that's not necessary. You're probably not going to have it, but we do think that it is extremely necessary for those counties in the southern part of the state. And we also require, some kind of monitoring or surveys in the field. With plant pathology, the bare minimum, do some disease surveys as to what's going on. And a lot of our agents are good with this, especially with corn and southern rust. And with weeds, we require that they do some resistance monitoring. Herbicide-resistant weeds are a big issue in Arkansas. As I said, these are our entomology priorities. Again, red-banded stink bug. We also require that they do sugarcane aphid if there's any sorghum in their county. Bollworm damage to cotton. We've seen increasing levels of earworm resistance to some of the BTs, so we get the agents to try to put some surveys on bollworm damage in cotton as well. As I talked about earlier, the southwestern corn borer monitoring and trapping is extremely important and a requirement if their county has non-BT or conventional corn in it. And I'll go into detail on that later. That is one of our big aspects of our program, as well as the budworm and bollworm trapping in all regions. We've also been having them do some, if they want to, earworm levels in some of our BT field corn. This is kind of tied in with our cotton. We're seeing more and more resistance to the BT toxins in bollworm, and so we're looking at some of those fields. A lot of our counties will have some kind of hybrid demos out there, looking at different corn hybrids, and this is really easy for the agents to go in there and sample the ears and kind of get an idea of just how much damage we're seeing from year to year, and it kind of gives us data over a period of time to see what's going on. Another big thing, Arkansas is a big rice producing state, And rice stink bug insecticide termination is a good way for growers to save money. Research was done several years ago and discovered that at 60% hard dough, when that rice reaches that stage, it's no longer susceptible to stink bug damage or even peck, and growers can stop spraying for this particular insect. We've seen a lot of benefits from this particular program in Arkansas. A lot of times growers are making the application because the rice stink bugs are heavier at the end of the season, and so seeing this is a really easy demo for those rice producing counties for an agent to put out to show and demonstrate good IPM tactics. And same thing with insecticide termination in cotton. A lot of our IPM where growers save money is really when they can stop, letting them know when they can stop spraying for pests. When that crop reaches a certain stage, whether it be rice, cotton, soybeans, it may no longer be as susceptible to yield loss, and so they can stop spraying. And with cotton, we've got tons of research showing that at 250 heat units, they can stop spraying for plant bugs and major pests, and at 350, they can stop spraying for bollworm. But we've had this for a long time, but it seems like every few years we kind of got to throw some demos out there to remind growers and consultants that these termination rules still work. As far as disease goes, plant pathology, a lot of our work is on these automatic application or one and done programs, where a lot of these are fostered by industry to make one shot of a fungicide. A lot of times they push them to put an insecticide in there to try to say that's going to prevent a lot of your problems for the rest of the season. We've putting out demos to basically showcase this and show that, following thresholds actually works better a little bit. Host plant resistance demos are very important. Rice fertility has a big aspect on management of disease in rice, taproot decline, of course, diseases in peanuts, and a big one is just monitoring year-to-year southern rust movement into the state on corn. Also, just the disease surveys, looking particularly on nematodes and target leaf spot. These change from year to year depending on kind of what's going on out there. As far as weed science goes, a big part of it is really herbicide resistance management. We've got resistant pigweeds, resistant barnyard grass. We've got a lot of resistant weeds out there, and growers are really looking at ways that they can try to manage these using integrated tactics like cover crops, other things to reduce the seed bank out there. And this is important with our weed scientists and with our IPM program. So what we have is that if the agents participate in the mini grants program, we do require that they have a resistant weed monitoring or sampling program where they go out and collect seed heads from fields that appear to have resistance. These are sent to our weed scientists, and they grow these in the greenhouse and basically monitor those for resistance. They test them for herbicide resistance and give a report to the agents as to what level of resistance or what type of resistance they have in their county. We also have the agents do weekly reports on the current issues going on. If they're doing any kind of surveys, trap catches, or monitoring any fields, they give us weekly reports, and we've been fortunate to do some collaboration with the Southern IPM Center using their Ag Pest Monitor program. This gives the agents ability to basically give us reports on what they're seeing on a weekly basis. It's accessible to clientele, and it provides a good repository for our monitoring data over the years as to what's going on out there. We have a integrated pest manager IPM homepage that's basically an app that our IT department has developed with these buttons. This is a work in progress. It's not as far along as I would like it to be, but we are making some progress with that. We've really focused on the moth trap catches button down there in corn and cotton on monitoring some of those pests, and it gives us some good information, and it gives the agents an ability to post those reports. We post them there as well as on our website. This is our trap catch webpage. This is from 2022, but basically we have where we can monitor show where our moth trap catches are for corn earworm, southwestern corn borer. Doesn't show it on here, but we also have a tab for tobacco budworm as well. This is just gives you an indication of where all these dots are traps. The numbers indicate the number of traps in those areas. This is for corn earworm, and you can basically, our Delta region is where most of our row crops are, the Mississippi Delta on the eastern part of the state. And we have pretty good coverage of traps. These are all run by county agents. And those in the center there, across there, is the Arkansas River Valley, another good area of row crop IPM, and then there's some down in the southwest. So we have, again, like I said, diverse habitat in our state and diverse regions. But this is where those are. This is accessible to other agents as well as our clientele. They can look at this, click on one of those dots, and it will actually bring up a graph showing what the trap catches are for that particular trap in that particular location. A good source of information for consultants, row crop decision makers as well. This just shows one of our western corn borer traps in Woodruff County, and you can see there we have a pretty good peak of corn borer numbers there around the first part of July. But this is what shows up for those when you click on those particular spots. Well, what are some of our accomplishments for this program? As far as our mini grants program, over the course of 3 years, we have distributed 112 mini grants proposals that were submitted by county agents from 39 counties. All of these were funded with some guidance on some of them. Basically, we were able to distribute $202,000 in grant funds to those counties and those county agents. A lot of this, a portion of this money is used for travel. They've got to drive their own personal vehicles around the county and to these fields and to these demonstrations. So and to run those traps. So part of this does go for mileage to help them out, as well as for them to buy supplies to utilize, such as traps, pheromone, and those kind of things for their IPM program and for their IPM demonstrations. They were able, just through these county agents, conducted 285 on-farm IPM demonstrations were conducted over the course of the last 3 years with this program. With our county agents, they are required to, at the end of each year, to put together a demonstration booklet for their county. This is a requirement by their administration that they have to do this. It's not just their IPM demonstrations, but all of the demonstrations that they have in the county, maybe irrigation demonstrations, maybe variety demonstrations, but all of those demonstrations are in there, and so they include their IPM demonstrations as well. These booklets are put together very well, bound, and they are distributed to local clientele, and usually at winter meetings. It's also provided to their local county judge and their people there in the county as well. Got a lot of traction from these. They did very, very positive reviews. Most of the counties also publish their booklets online, so it's accessible to all their clientele as well that way. But we've seen a lot of good feedback from these demonstration booklets. Another aspect, like I had kind of alluded to earlier with our IPM, row crop IPM program, is just training our county agents on IPM. Like I said, we've got a lot of fairly new county agents, inexperienced county agents, I might say. And so we have developed 5 online training modules on insect and disease pests in our major row crops that are available in our courses section of our website that the agents are required to go through. Gives them training on insects in each of the crops, and as well as diseases, how to identify and scout for them, and what our management recommendations are for those. So it's good IPM for them. They're required to do that. They take a small test at the end of it to basically prove that they took the module and did it right. This is also available on our website to our clientele as well. A lot of our consultants and scouts in the state will also utilize this, as we do provide CCU continuing education credits for county agents as they try to maintain their or crop consultants so they can maintain their licenses. So we've got a lot of good feedback on those modules as well. We've also conduct hands-on IPM training each year at a major row crop college. What we've been doing over the last few years is taking a major row crop and conducting what we call a crop college, which is out in the field on hands-on type of college. This has been rotating between soybeans and rice, and this past year we've done one on corn and grain sorghums as well. So it's a different crop each year. About 41 agents attend this each year. The way this works is we have it's a 2-day college. The first day is just 4 county agents, and we use this as an in-service type of a hands-on training for them. So they are able to visit with each of the row crop specialists, entomologists, plant pathologists, weed scientists, as well as our agronomists. And we are able to go out to the field. These are conducted a lot of times on our field experiment stations or our extension stations, where we have some crops planted and where we can actually go to the field, show them how to sample. And it's usually conducted in July or August when pest pressure is pretty good. And so we're able to do a lot of hands-on training where they can actually see how these IPM techniques work in the field, and they're able to help ask questions, and we can help them on identification and how to properly use things like a sweep net or a beat sheet, and how to scout a cotton crop. So it works very well, and we've got a lot of good traction out of that. Second day of these colleges is open to the public, and we have about 150 clientele that attend these each year. They come around, and again, it's the same thing. We're out there hands-on in the field with them, answering questions and showing them good IPM techniques, particularly pest identification. We've also conducted 2 remote Zoom training sessions on agronomic crop IPM. This was attended by 45 agents, as well as a formal classroom instruction on pest identification, biology, and proper IPM recommendations. Again, this was open to all agents. We had 45 agents. Really, we were targeting this classroom instruction on towards our newer agents. And at this particular training, 15 were new hires that had been there less than 3 months. So these were brand new agents. So it was a good training for those agents at that time. As far as our accomplishments with clientele, a lot of this is through our county agent IPM programs, the mini-gets program. We had 103 IPM updates or alerts, and demonstration results were posted to our Arkansas Crops blog by these were posted mostly by our IPM specialists, our row crop specialists. This blog has over 500 subscribers, and we generally have a readership of over 60,000 on that as well. 195 IPM presentations were given at 75 or 78 IPM row crop producer in-person meetings. There was over 7,000 clientele in total at these meetings. 182 IPM newsletters were distributed by county agents, and again, this is through the county IPM program, to over nearly 94,000 clientele. A big part of this is where we had 285 IPM on-farm demonstrations that were conducted by agents out in their counties over the course of that 3 years. Over 15,000 individual on-farm IPM visits where agents or specialists went to the field. We had 12 field days conducted at research and extension centers across the state. Attendance at these is generally around 120 to 150 people. Some centers are more popular than others, and we have seen up to 200 at some of these research and extension field days. We've also produced 3 new extension fact sheets on pest biology and management. On our plant pathology, the one and done program, this is just some results that we've seen where a lot of these fungicides and insecticides are recommended to be applied automatically at R2 or R3, promising increased yields regardless of pest pressure. And a lot of these are used by growers that are participating in yield contests, and they use this practice. And this is part of the reason this idea has gained traction with a lot of our growers, and part of the program. These are the results of one of the programs in Mississippi County. The agent did a demonstration on this, and so basically there was no yield difference between treating at threshold or using the one and done. And he did a really good job showing the economics where they lost money, even though their yields were the same. They spent more on that particular crop. This was in soybeans. One of our big programs, I really think, where we get a lot of traction is our Southwestern Corn Borer Monitoring Program. We've seen a big benefit to the growers in the state. Arkansas, we average around 60 to 80,000 acres of conventional corn each year. The reason for this is we have a poultry producer that markets poultry that is non-GMO, so they require non-GMO corn or feed to be fed to their chickens. So they pay a premium to corn growers if they have certified non-conventional corn or certified non-GMO corn. And this premium, it varies, but sometimes it's up to $1 a bushel. So it's very attractive to growers, and because of this, we've seen an increase over the years of our conventional corn. It tends to be concentrated in several areas of the state, but because of conventional corn, Southwestern Corn Borer is a major pest of our conventional corn. This pest is controlled very easily by our BT hybrids, but in conventional corn it's not. Growers don't like to scout corn for corn borers. It's not an easy pest to scout for, and so very few of them do scout for it. And historically, what growers were doing was making automatic applications, usually at early silk, to prevent Southwestern corn borers. And they were using a long residual insecticide because that's what they had to use if they were going to get any benefit. And the average cost of this insecticide is around, when you throw the cost of insecticide plus the cost of application, was around $29 an acre. So it wasn't a cheap aspect of the program, is what they were doing. So basically, when you put the math to it, the growers were spending around $2 million statewide to prevent corn borer damage in their conventional corn prior to the monitoring program. These automatic applications also resulted in about 4,500 pounds of active pesticide active ingredient being applied across the field and out into the environment. Through our program, using the county agents, using pheromone traps, they're able to identify those areas where the corn borer tended to be located or concentrated. And basically what we found out was Southwestern corn borers were concentrated in about 5,000 to 6,000 acres, generally in around 4 or 5 counties. And those counties right here you can see are in the eastern central part of the state, and they're highlighted in red. The yellow counties on this slide show where all the counties that were participating in the program and had corn borer traps out. And for years, those growers in the extreme northeast part of the state, in Clay and Greene County, were spraying an insecticide for corn borers. And over the course of several years with the program, we just weren't catching any Southwestern corn borers, so they realized they didn't have to spray. And really what we see is that area in red is where the concentration is. And even in that, it's not the entire county. It tends to be areas in those counties as well. As a consequence of this, pheromone trap catches are posted to our extension website. Also, we were put out alerts on our blog, and they were on that trap catch page on our website, so growers could see those. And as a consequence, growers outside of the area ceased making automatic applications. So they were saving $29 an acre, which saved millions of dollars because of reduced pesticide applications. So it was a savings of $1.8 million in that particular area, as well as a reduction of around 4,000 pounds of active ingredient being applied to the environment. So it was a win-win situation, we feel like, for the program. It was a big benefit. Another good aspect of our program is the resistant weed survey. In this particular slide, you can see the yellow counties participated in the program. One of the reasons those white counties there in the middle do not have, in that yellow area, do not have that in there, is we've seen some turnover of county agents, so there's not been 100% participation in those areas. But majority of our agricultural areas, row crop areas, are participating in the program. The agents are making collections, and they collect these, like I said, send them in, and the weed scientists test them to see what levels of resistance and what chemistries are resistant. And this is the report that's generated, that an example of a report that the county agents get, and it shows what areas are resistant, what herbicide class they're resistant to, and which ones are susceptible. And this is a tremendous benefit to the agents and the clientele as far as making recommendations, particularly for the next year. A lot of times these collections are made towards the end of the season, and then but it does tell the grower what resistance is in the seed bank that may be around next year, so they can make the proper decisions on what herbicides to use. We like to say the most expensive pesticide application, whether it be herbicide, fungicide, or insecticide, is one that you make that was not necessary or one that didn't work. So information does give these growers power and our clientele power to make a good informed decision on what to use. Kind of in a nutshell, or a big picture by commodity, looking at our program, in soybeans, a lot of times we've done surveys and informal surveys with clientele, asking them about the program, and many indicate that they feel like by using IPM practices, they're saving at least one pesticide application over the course of a season. A lot of times these applications that they save are towards the end of the season when they follow our termination rules. So once that crop reaches a certain stage, they know they don't have to spray anymore, and it does save them one or two applications. But a lot of them feel like they've saved at least one. And when you look at that over our crops in soybeans, that saves at least $25 million in savings by saving one pesticide application over the course of the season. In cotton, we have over 3 million acres of soybeans, so that's why that number is high. In cotton, acreage is smaller, but we feel like we save around $6.5 million a year by just saving one application. In rice, on rice stink bug alone, we feel like they save around $7.5 million by saving that one late season application by following our termination rules on rice stink bug. And in corn, as I already indicated, we feel like we're saving $1.8 million by using our southwestern corn borer monitoring and using our thresholds. If you add this all together, following our IPM recommendations and practices saves growers in the state of Arkansas over $40 million a year, just by using monitoring thresholds and following our thresholds and recommendations. This transition to our animal IPM and kind of finish this up. Like I said, the major part of our program really does deal with row crop IPM, but we do have animal IPM in here as well. And some of our key areas are flies on cattle. A big part of it is forages, looking at fall armyworm and Bermuda grass stem maggot. We've seen a lot of increased education in this area with our growers who didn't realize how much problems, particularly Bermuda grass stem maggot, were causing them. And we also have tick surveys. Ticks are a big problem in Arkansas. Some of our accomplishments, some tick collections were made from the environment on animals to see what species we have. We do have the Asian longhorn tick now in Arkansas, and that through these we have been able to hone down where we're picking these up. Results are shared with our growers and our clientele at workshop and at meetings with our producers. As a consequence, we conducted 2 workshops on ticks and external parasites, and did some on-farm demonstrations on tick management. Also did the same thing with horn flies, with 2 workshops on horn and horse flies and on how to manage those. And these were workshops in the counties. But like I said, our big aspect is on our forages. We conducted 63 on-farm demonstrations on fall armyworm, fire ants, and Bermuda grass stem maggot, and got a lot of traction with these, and a lot of positive comments from growers on these. As we've also conducted 5 field days on forage insect management, so there's a big interest in forage insect management. Our specialty crops. Dr. Cato focuses on pecan IPM, insects and diseases, and non-vegetable IPM, particularly on tomatoes, sweet potatoes, sweet corn, and squash. It's kind of where he's focused the last few years, as well as blackberry IPM and also some on pumpkins. Some of the accomplishments that he has seen: he has developed a web page for monitoring and reporting on fruit and vegetable pests. Had some good feedback on this. He's also got a pecan scab decision-making tool has been completed. He's also about to finish one on grapeberry moth as well. Also 30 county demonstrations with county agents on insect resistance in sweet corn, as well as demonstrations on insect management, 30 demonstrations on insect management in tomato. 9 field days were conducted at research and extension centers showcasing IPM tactics on specialty crops. And he's also put together 4 IPM demonstration videos that have been posted on YouTube, and had some pretty good views on that. On pollinator health, Dr. Zvislak has conducted 49 classes on IPM for pollinators with over 3,000 participants. 3 field days or festivals were conducted on IPM for pollinators, over 4,000 participants at that. He's also updated the content on our pollinator health in our extension website, but he's got a lot of mileage out of this pocket guide that he has developed for honeybee pests and diseases. It's a color pocket guide. He's distributed over 3,000 of these. He can't keep enough of them printed. They're very, very popular, and they like having something that they can easily carry in their pocket and pull out and help them with their identification and management decisions. So John has done a very good job, and he's recognized nationally as well as internationally. He's asked to travel all over the country to give talks on pollinators, and a big part of what he talks about is IPM for those and pollinator health. He's also gone out internationally. I think he's gone to Canada and a few other places and done some of these as well. So he's our pollinator and urban entomologist. And then finally, our IPM support for our pest diagnostic facilities. We've diagnosed over 4,600 samples over 3 years. So we run around 12 to 1,500 samples a year run through the clinic. And for each one of these samples, a report is generated, and a report is given to Kleindale along with recommendations, a diagnosis and a recommendation. So they receive all of those, but they also have a portable clinic that they use at flower shows and garden shows. There's at least 6 of those in the 3 field days, as well as other multiple garden events with master gardeners, farmers markets, and those kind of things. Over 2,000 clientele have participated and attended in these events, and it's the clinic is very popular at these things. We get a lot of people lined up wanting to ask questions or bring samples in. They also, as they go through the samples, he also produces, or Dr. Smith has in the past has produced over 72 newsletters or blog posts on these diseases or insects that are timely along with what's really coming into the clinic. And it's posted for our clientele to access. That's basically our IPM program. I want to thank USDA NIFA for their support on this through the Crop Protection and Pest Management Program. Thank you.